Hi there, it's Nisha here. It's take two of the day two challenge. I completely messed it up with not turning my notification off and getting a call in the middle of my Facebook Live. Typical. So I do apologize. Not so great starting on a day two challenge, but let's get back to it. So on day one, we talked about service accommodation, what it is, and how you can generate about £500 to £1,000 profit every month from a property that you may not own yourself. Now, I've had a few questions. People have been asking me about, well, I don't have any experience. How can I become a service accommodation provider? And I definitely don't have the time or money to be able to invest in service accommodation. So let me tell you this, when I started 6 years ago, I had no experience in property at all. Apart from buying a property for myself and renting it out, as they call it, the accidental landlord, that was me. I didn't really have any experience in property because obviously that was a property I bought for myself and then decided to let it out. Didn't really do it from a purpose of investing in property as such. So from an experience point of view, it was pretty much starting from zero. I had no experience whatsoever in property. But with the right knowledge and the right support, you can do it. I've been able to do it, and I'm pretty sure you can do it too. Now, when I started, obviously, I wanted to find out more about service accommodation, just like you are doing now. And you really need to learn a little bit more about it. And that's the whole point of me now trying to give you some more information about service accommodation. But the main thing that people tend to refer to is I don't have the experience. But like I said to you, you don't need the experience. So that's number one, you don't have to worry about that. Now, number two tend to be about, I don't have the money to be able to start. Now, most people starting in property would like to save significant amounts of money to be able to start investing in property. However, we've rent a service accommodation, or arbitrage, as we call it in the USA. Now, if you're not familiar with these words, please check the day one video. You will have a good explanation about it and hopefully help you understand those technical words that we tend to use. And again, in the UK, it's different to USA. So depending on where you're watching, it might be completely different. So going back to owning the property, no, you don't need to own the property to be able to use it as a service accommodation and generate a profit from it. So for example, Airbnb and Uber are very good company where they don't actually have any assets. They're not really holding much assets, but they've been able to create a platform where there's different landlord or they're different owner of the car, and they are the one providing the service. So you will be doing the same with the service accommodation. So you would not be owning the houses, sorry, not the car, the houses, but you'll be able to provide a service accommodation product. So your work in between those two would be what you would be compensated with in terms of income. So yes, you do need a minimum amount, and that would usually be around your rent that you need to pay and the cost of setting it up. So that's the general cost to start with. But again, you could look at having that been replaced in the next 5 to 6 months, for example, depending how much money you're putting it in. Now, some people can put a lot of furnishing, very expensive furnishing, and it will cost more. And some people go for the basic furnishing and looking for second-hand products and trying to make it more cost effective for them. So it really depends on your budget. But the fact is, you don't need a significant amount of money to be able to start in service accommodation. And I think that is quite appealing. I mean, that was to me when I started, because like you, I didn't have a lot of finance to start with to be able to start buying property and turning them into service accommodation. But you know what? One little tip, it's actually better to do a rent to SA rather than owning an SA. There's so many more tax advantages to actually doing rent to SA. And I'm not going to go into detail because I think if I do, I will confuse you at this stage. I think if you want to learn more about that, you're most welcome to go back to some of my previous video. But again, I don't want you to confuse you at this stage. So let's stick to the main thing and the basic thing while you're starting to learn. Hopefully by the end of the 30 days, once you have more information, more more understanding about service accommodation, then you can expand your win and go and learn more and decide whether this is something you want to do. So the next point is time. A lot of people are worried that service accommodation will take them a lot of time, and they might not have that time to be able to run a service accommodation while maybe being a full-time mom or being a full-time worker and not having enough time. But if I say to you, you would just need about an hour a day to 2 hours a day, and maybe not even every day, then that might be quite interesting for you. So you need to think about things like that. How can you actually generate that 1 hour of time to yourself to be able to focus on that, and then be able to generate £500 to £1,000 every single month? Now imagine what you can do with that amount of money. Now, if it was me, when I started 6 years ago, I would have been excited about the idea of being able to just replace that part of my income, because I wanted to leave my job at that point. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. Think about it. If you were to earn £500 to £1,000 every single month, what would you be able to do with that? How's that going to change your life? How's that going to change the life for your whole family? So think about that and join me next time to learn more. Bye.